rise. Kicker unmasked, live it loud. Break the silence, join the crowd. Rock the planet, feel the fire. Shake the world, lift it higher. Whoa! Wires twist like veins of steel. Born to crush, born to feel. Lightning runs through every chord. Power surge, the final word. Shatter chains with sonic waves. Carve the air like razor blades. No escape, no retreat. Victory tastes so sweet. Kicker unmasked, live it loud. Break the silence, join the crowd. Rock the planet, feel the fire. Shake the world, lift it higher. Hey, yeah.
Hey guys, it is Tuesday night. Welcome to another fun episode of Unmasked. We are going to have a lot of fun tonight. I've got a special guest here in the studio with me, and we're going to hear all about his cool projects and what brought him to this point. If you guys tuned in for the last show, we had John from Linkswell on here, and he mentioned real briefly, if you guys were wondering about all these traffic cams and in-car dash cams, I got a set of those for my Linkswell head units, and those cameras are really nice. If you guys are sporting the Linkswell head units, which y'all should be, try those cameras because they are really cool. So as always, we like to give away stuff. If this is your first time tonight, make sure you register at kicker.com/umweekly. We always give away earbuds and t-shirts and koozies, so we'll do that at the end of the show. But we've got another special deal we're going to do tonight. We have changed something in the studio. So the first one that can comment what we changed and get it right, I think Colin's going to send you a set of earbuds as well. So guys, we're going to have some fun, so stick around. In just a few seconds, we're going to bring on my guest. And we always got to make sure that we welcome my usual crew of happy, healthy guys. We don't have Steven behind the camera, but we do have Colin, Jeremy, and Ernie in the back. Say hi, guys. There they are. So they're going to help me do the show tonight and bring out our special guest right after this message. See you in a few seconds. Hey guys, before I introduce my guest over here to my left, I gotta say thank you to all of our followers and all our supporters. Bobby Burkett, we're just gonna get you on the show. I cannot believe every single time you're the first one on there. We got Andy on here with Living Loud with Andy. He'll be on this evening. And we also got Shupdog, and I think we had Chris up there, and howdy! I can't get that high note. I can't do my hee-haw welcome there. But anyway, it's nice to have you guys joining us tonight. We'll have some fun. We're gonna learn some really interesting things about what my guest, Peter Ashby's been up to. So Peter, welcome to the show.
Thank you guys for having us.
Yeah, he's usually on your end doing the chat. So if you ever see Peter from LM Motorsports, he's the guy behind the name up there. But we always welcome Peter, and he has done some really incredible things. But, obviously, Peter, tell us a little bit about yourself.
So I was born and raised in Trinidad. and Tobago.
I don't think I can find that on a map.
Just look for Venezuela and go to the right.
Okay.
So,
See, there, now we go. Geography.
always been into cars, a lot of music. Came to the U.S. back in '89 to finish my education. Did that in Connecticut, University of Connecticut, Huskies. Continued on. While I was there, I had this 86 Toyota pickup, and one of my first systems was the original KICKER truck box. I think I ended up selling that truck with that enclosure still in it.
Brings me to an interesting point. We were just talking about it as we were having Texas Roadhouse. Imagine that, guys. Another Texas Roadhouse. You got another little challenge of your own that I think you were asking if anyone can find.
Yeah, so if anyone can find the difference in the studio tonight.
I'm talking about your truck.
Oh, yeah.
See, he's not even getting my prompts.
So anybody can find an 86 Toyota pickup, regular cab. Reach out to me. 2-wheel drive preferably. We want to go back in time and create a time capsule project with it. But so a little bit about, continuing on, in Connecticut, ran a stereo shop. I think back in the day it was called Pirate Radio. And, we did a lot of silly little things with, we had a Volkswagen Rabbit with 4 18-inch strokers.
That sounds silly. That's obscene.
That was the first time we actually met the late, great Irma. So, we just sort of, life happens. I ended up moving to North Carolina. Started a family. So, choice between the audio and the toys. We chose the toys. So
Absolutely. As you should.
Yeah, so we back in '06 we started the whole Luxury Motorsports deal came about. In '06 we started a mobile detailing company, and for several years, we were on the bottom end because we started this company in the middle of winter in North Carolina. So snow's on the ground and people are like, what are you, some sort of special person?
You just like abuse, apparently.
Yeah, apparently. And
well, you're in car audio, so yes, you
so
like
yes,
abuse.
Never had a customer that didn't abuse it. So there you go. We tended to, do pretty well. We were ranked one of the best automotive detailers 5 years in a row in Greensboro. And we continued on and we expanded. Luxury Motorsports actually was founded in about '09 because customers were telling us, well, you pick up our vehicles to detail it. Why don't you go ahead and put tires, do inspection, maybe throw some tint and new brakes and stuff. So we expanded, and to this day, Luxury Motorsports is still, the bread and butter of the company. We don't do much detailing anymore, but we did develop our own line of ceramic-based detailing products, as you see here.
Have examples, right?
Yeah. So, but with that being said, there's a big story about how the turn to KICKER all of a sudden for us. And in beginning of 2024, we were contacted by a manufacturer to display our vehicle at SEMA. So starting March, we ended up gutting the entire vehicle. This is the vehicle we call Nemesis.
And that's always an honor when you get asked to be there.
Yeah.
And maybe the title was something to do with
Yeah,
it.
it did. And, it had a tremendous social media following as well. So we did that. We started gutting the car. We sent them the proofs of what we wanted to do. And keeping in mind, SEMA opens their registration in August. So we had to have all of our paperwork signed, everything dotted. And lo and behold, at the end of July, the manufacturer says, well, we decided to go a different direction. We were literally gutted because my entire team and myself, we just sat down and we were like, what are we going to do with this? KICKER has always been a brand that we had the utmost respect for. Mr. Ashby has always been straight up with us. We reached out to you guys, and Roger and Jeremy in the back, we came to an arrangement where they allowed us, they sponsored us to come out to SEMA 2024. So between August and October, we had to rebuild the entire vehicle. So the way you see Nemesis now on social media was as a result of KICKER helping us get to SEMA. We made it to SEMA, and everybody loved the vehicle.
And I think you sent us pictures of this car?
Yes.
So, Ernie, would you pull up the laptop? No particular order.
Yes. So those are the KICKER amps. KICKER subs. And so people are asking why we chose that particular sub. That sub has the red stitching that goes with the carbon fiber theme and the whole aura of Nemesis.
Now, I noticed the box does not look like it's made out of MDF.
No. So that enclosure took us literally 5 weeks to build. It's pure carbon fiber. It's reinforced to the hilt. It's not as heavy as an MDF enclosure because we were still trying to control how much weight the vehicle had. But it's fully carbon fibered. It's got a baffle in the middle. It's a sealed enclosure. You know, you and I have the same beliefs about sealed enclosures.
Love them.
And, you know, everything was laid out so that we can, you know, hurry up and get the vehicle completed. So there were several nights that we worked 2-3 o'clock in the morning trying to get that stuff done.
Yeah, that's an accomplishment, doing an entire carbon. I don't know if anyone else has ever done that. I don't think I've ever seen another one.
A lot of them do carbon fiber faces
Yeah.
or panels, but that entire enclosure, you can lift that out, and it's one complete carbon fiber monocoque.
F1 would be proud.
So,
All right, next picture. Maybe. Obviously got to have a little bit of power in that car.
yeah, so, you know, for those of you guys that remember, you know, the Fast and the Furious, when Paul Walker walked in and he told the boss that he wanted some nitrous oxide and he wanted 2 of the large tanks, we took that as a joke and we said, you know, why do 2 when you can have 4?
Yep, go big or go home.
And Nitrous Express is another one of our sponsors. They've been by our side constantly. Unfortunately, they don't do SEMA anymore, so, you know.
Well, this also kind of leads into something else you were telling us that you did.
Yes.
Building racing engines.
Yeah, so we are known for building race engines. We've got quite a repertoire. Basically, we love all engines, but we specialize in the 2JZ engines, the Japanese engines. We do a lot of rotary engines that go to Puerto Rico. We have a race team over there that we build engines for. And, you know, it's just a passion of ours. We tend to push the envelope a little bit on the mechanical ability of these engines. So
That's the whole point of competing.
yeah,
See how far you can go without breaking it.
Exactly.
And you know when you cross that line because
Yeah.
the parts go everywhere.
Yeah, that's when you get the magnet and start picking up pieces.
So this car, what is the car? We're going to see a picture of it here at the end. But
It's a 96 Toyota Supra Turbo. It's a 6-speed. I would say it's an all-original car, but it's not.
yeah, well, there might be some original parts. How much horsepower is this little guy?
2062 at the wheel.
2,062 horsepower. There's a shot of the back of it. So you're serious about this engine
Yes.
stuff.
So at one time we had that car on the street a lot, and then with the new insurance company that we have, they told us,
No, they're not having it.
So we basically just trailer it, and you know, it's a showpiece. It's an attention getter. We love seeing the kids' faces when they see it because the first thing they think about, oh, there's the Fast and Furious Supra, you know. So
The taillights.
yes.
That I'm looking at that going, what in the world?
So those are Lamborghini taillights that we grafted into the Mark IV Supra housing.
I
It's
like it.
just to be different, you know. There's no, you know, for us, and I think I've told you this several times every time we speak, good enough is just not good enough.
Exactly.
You know, we go above and beyond. We try to push the limits, and then people are like, oh, you know, why didn't I think of that? But that's what we're here for. You know?
So very cool. All right, well, back to things at hand. So you took this car to SEMA,
Yes.
or we're going to take the car to SEMA, and you got shelved
Yeah,
by
so-
the previous vendor.
Roger and KICKER, we had a few phone calls, and we sort of got a track record of how they wanted us to proceed. And you guys gave us the blessing. You sponsored us out there. It was up to us to get the vehicle out there, which was fine. But we had that mad crush to get everything done. And I can tell you, the night before we loaded up, we were still making changes to that car.
Oh, I've been there. Well, you know all about that.
You know, we had a power steering line because we had just put on this new sheet metal manifold because, you know, SEMA, it's just over and above.
Yeah, it has to be. It doesn't get us. I tell people when it comes to SEMA, there's so many $1 million cars you don't even notice them.
Yeah.
And true story with that, SEMA, if you guys ever get a chance, go to SEMA. But I can't even remember what car it was, but it was down in the Pirelli tire booth down in the bottom of the South Hall. And there was a car in the middle, and the base price of the car, I think, was $4.3 million. There was like one of four. And there were $1 million McLarens on each side of it, and people were complaining the McLarens were in the way. They couldn't get a good enough picture of the other car. So it really is true. I mean, there's $1 million cars just in the way. Just get them out of here.
So if I ever complain about a $1 million car, rush me to the hospital.
Exactly.
Yeah, so it's like, but
beat some sense into you.
So we got your blessing. We loaded up. It took us 4 days to get there. We got into Vegas that Friday at lunch. Load-in was Saturday. We loaded in, and then the fun began. You know, we had 4 days of just crunching, you know, answering 1 million questions, you know, thousands of photographs. And the show closed on Thursday, and what they did is they had Nemesis lead the parade out.
Oh, nice.
So that was good. And of course, you know, I'm not well behaved, so on the drag strip.
You wouldn't be here if you were.
On the front strip, you know, we're cruising out and I stop and we just go into the two-step and it just shoots this huge fireball and we're like, okay, that's the way to close SEMA.
That's the signature.
So,
I like it. So engine building, some audio, some car building, some carbon fiber, polishes. Like I said, tell them where they can get this stuff. Is really good, by the way.
So
we like using it.
Yeah, all of these products are available on our website. It's luxurymotorsportsusa.com. We have these. We actually take a portion of the proceeds from this and we donate it to Kicking Childhood Hunger here in Oklahoma. It's one of those deals that we are very proud to be partnered with. You know, the first time we even mentioned it, I just, you know, fell in love with the whole idea of an organization actually raising money that 100% of the money goes to the kids. You know, there's no middleman, you know, the management isn't taking, you know, the board of directors isn't taking any money. All of the money that we donate or anyone donates goes to these children. And, you know, we have to start thinking about our future and, you know, raising these kids so that they can, you know, continue in the fun that we do. I mean, we were kids once too, so, you know.
Long time ago.
Well, maybe not as well. Well, yeah.
Almost. They're almost as old. That much.
Yeah.
So too cool. So obviously, was the Kicker Box your very first audio system?
Yes, that was. And I will tell you, only today I found out that the drivers were actually TV. But,
yeah.
But that thing, you know, those in a little Toyota pickup, I think I had Acura seats in it because, you know, it comes with a bench seat. And, you know, I remember my mom fussing at me, telling me, turn down that stuff when you come into the house.
And family show.
Yeah.
Censored.
Yeah, so. But, you know, we got into that. So after SEMA, you know, the notoriety and the fanfare died down, I came to you and I said, hey, I've got an idea for something. And you're like, oh, God.
Here it comes.
Here it comes. And we actually flew out here last February, as a matter of fact, and we showed you some designs for what is now Light and Loud. And, you know, we built this truck, we put this truck together in 6 weeks, start to finish. And then Ernie reached out to me and says, Ernie and Jeremy actually both says, hey, you know, they're having an IASCA event here. They'd love to have us out here. And we were like, yes, we will be there. So we loaded it up. Now, we're pretty meticulous with what we build. So on the whole way out, we're super excited. We're like, okay, John's going to see this and he's going to go head over heels, which he did. And, I'm like, okay, good. So we can chalk this one off the list and, just move on to another project. So we get here that Friday. We go out, we have lunch with the guys. We say hi. Saturday morning, Jeremy and Uni and everybody were getting set up. We have the truck, and of course, Jeremy, and to this day, I'll forever be in his graces. He walked to me and says, "We want you guys to play the national anthem to open the show." And we were just blown away because here's, again, another individual that you've never heard my work. And you've never seen, you've seen it, but, just to hear it and knowing the type of caliber of music that, Kicker stands behind, for us, it was like, wow. So we played it, and, the ovation was just great, And then here comes John Myers.
Where?
John had just flown in the night before and was sick as a dog. I mean, I walked up, he's like, "Don't hug me, I'm sick." And I'm like, okay.
I don't remember most of that event.
Yeah, you were out of it. I'm like, nice to see you too.
I got in at 8 o'clock that night. I had to drive back in from Tulsa. Then I had to detail 3 cars.
Yeah, that morning.
And then we had to be here at 7 o'clock in the morning. So it was rough. I was ragged, to say the least.
So we're doing it. They're giving everybody time to just stretch their legs with the stereo stuff that they had. They had the Ayahuasca event going on, so it wasn't really a base wars type show, You got a few minutes, everybody can display, just do a couple demos and stuff like that. And after our demo, I'm looking around because we had a table setting up the products, we were selling the products. I look over at the truck, light and loud, and I see John under the truck like he's passed out. And I'm like...
I might have been.
Well, so I rush over. I'm like, "Is everything all right? Do I have a leak?" And he's like, "No, just looking." And I'm like, "Looking?" So he comes up under the truck and he says, "You don't need a spare tire. It's a show truck. Get rid of it." I'm like, "Are you serious?" And he's like, "I'm dead serious." And he's like, "You've got all this room. Put more speakers." I'm like, "John."
More.
How much more? He's like, "Well, add 4 of these here, 4 of these here, put 1 underneath." And I'm looking at him like he must be on medication at this point because he's going off. So we got the truck back.
It's really easy for me to suggest things when I don't have to do it, but the truck was absolutely incredible. But, you put something in front of me, there's always things you can tweak.
Yeah, and that I learn a lot from you now. So, I make sure that when I come to you now, I'm like, "Hey, just look at this. Don't recommend anything. Just look at it."
Shut the heck up.
So we brought the truck back to North Carolina, and I said, "Okay, he wants to have this just over the wall, over the top deal. Here we go." So the truck at the time, it had 16 of the ST9s in it.
16 ST9s.
Now the truck has 24 ST9s in it.
Which means there's still room for a few more.
No, there's no room for any more. The poor truck, I mean, it's struggling. It's like, the sub enclosure, the 4th order that's on the truck weighs 1,000 pounds without the subs. Yeah. So
it's serious. We're going to see pictures.
So we have we have the Solo X's 8s on the sides. So John and I are really on the same track when it comes to enclosures. We like the sound of sealed enclosures. So I told John, I says, "Hey, this is going to be a demo vehicle. We'll build 2 enclosures that are sealed and 2 that are ported using the same Solo X8s." And we did. We were back and forth with the tech guys, getting the accurate volumes and where we wanted it tuned. And, John and I, we're within, 5 hertz of each other on that. And then, He's like, well, what are you doing underneath the truck? And I says, well, we'll put the 12 that you wanted under the chassis. So we had to put the truck on the lift and cut away part of the bed brackets, mountain brackets.
You don't need frame.
Yeah, and fabricate new mounts just to carry the weight. And the truck now has a Solo X12 firing on the ground. So he hasn't heard it yet. He's going to hear it at the upcoming SQ at HQ show.
If you guys don't know, that's going to be May 16th, right here
Yep.
in the parking lot right
lot.
here at Kicker. So if you guys possibly can get here any way possible, Peter will have the truck here.
We will
And-
also have Nemesis here as
Yep.
well.
Have the
So come on out and experience both vehicles. This whole design culture has really sparked something new within us at Luxury, because now every vehicle we look at, we're like, we can turn that into an SPLV, we can turn that into an SQ vehicle. So we have
goals.
yeah. So we have something else in the works that we're not going to release yet. We sort of put a sneak peek on our social media about what we're working with, but we'll let that marinate for a little bit more. So.
All right, so I'm gonna have Ernie pull up my laptop again. Wait a minute, got a question here before you do, Ernie. Chris says, how do the nuts and bolts stay together in that truck? Well, do they, or did you...
So, very good question. Most of everything on the suspension is double nutted and Loctite.
Red Loctite?
And we've actually gone through the truck twice and done a paint pen to mark bolts so that if we go to a show, when we come back, we put it up on the lift to see if
smart.
everything has moved. Keep in mind that, that sub-enclosure, we had a feat trying to get that to stay in place, because we were coming down here to Oklahoma last time, and we hit a rut, and that box literally jumped 4 inches. So now it's got stainless steel brackets. It's not going anywhere. The
You always
whole truck
find your
will.
failure points.
Yeah, and that's the thing. You don't know until...
Scott was asking what kind of truck it is.
It is a 1995 Toyota Light Ace. It's a JDM truck. It's right-hand drive. We imported it directly from Japan. We did all the body work on it. We gave it a new coat of paint specifically for this kicker build.
Too cool. All right, Ernie, go ahead and pull up the laptop. We're going to start with some of the build pictures on this, because they're actually kind of cool. I always like the behind the scenes, the build pictures.
So this is the sub-enclosure. So it's a fourth order enclosure housing 6 of the Solo X12s, each in its own chamber. So the subs are not shared on the back end, but people look at it and it says, that doesn't really get windy. Well, I can tell you, if you stand at the back of the truck,
Yeah.
it'll blow your hat and clothes probably off you. So.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive. In fact,
Yeah.
people on the other side of the lake decided to call the law enforcement on us. But they showed up, the Stillwater PD. They were really nice. I think they showed up just because they were told they had to. But we gave them a tour and took them and showed them. They had a good time. So next picture, a little more finished.
Yeah, so this is when we put the coating. And for us, with this particular truck, the theme was red and white. If you see the graphics on the outside, it's that whole oil slick with a twist type look. The inside here, we coated it, made sure everything was sealed so that when we put the center baffle on, everything would reflect. It also has LED lights inside of it on the baffle itself.
It's really neat. And if you guys notice, that is 3-layer thick.
Yes.
It is a
So
serious
it's
enclosure.
a box in a box in a box. So there we are. We loaded the 12s. And let me tell you, I consider myself pretty strong. But when you have to lift a 12 inside of that cavity where you can barely stand in.
6 of them?
Yeah. The bottom one went in great.
Yeah, that's usually the way it works.
But the other 2, man, we were crying at the end of it.
Yeah, I just, I've said it before, and especially when we get to the XS, when they start, I don't want to mount any of these. I remember the original Solo X for that 18. I smashing my fingers and blood blisters, and it's you guys building these SPL vehicles with 2, 4, 8, 10, 12,
Yeah.
16 of these woofers. You know, hats off to you guys. You're gluttons for punishment. But
Well, I can tell you,
the payoff is worth it.
just the enclosures for the 8s, you know, when we had to lift that into place, we had to use hydraulic jacks to lift it into place because of how awkward it was to get on the side of the truck. You just couldn't do it.
That's a great way to do it. Mind over matter. I don't mind, so it
And so
doesn't
it
matter.
doesn't matter.
And this is kind of, people's like, well, why are you showing a picture of fuse holders? But there's something, just the detail. I mean, obviously, look how laser straight everything is, but there's another little feature on these you were telling me about.
Yes.
That's really cool.
So with anybody that's installed zero-odd on A&L fuses, when you tighten the lug, it makes the wire bend downward. So on the 32 fuses you see here, we had 64 aluminum washers made to fit under the fuse so that when we put the wires on it, it laid flat and there was no stress on the terminals. And we anodized all 64 of those to match the gold post on those.
Yeah, that's the amazing part.
So.
That's really cool. Of course, you got to have some sound besides bass.
Yes. So these are the Marine speakers. Again, thanks to John for recommending those. And of course, you know, we had to find somewhere to mount them. So what better way than to have it on the rack? And these speakers right here are probably one of the most underrated speakers we've ever heard.
They're really impressive. I
You
mean,
know?
not just saying that because I work here. I mean,
No.
people that have heard of that. I mean, for a Marine speaker, they really sound good.
Yeah, we actually, so when we sound check, we play each individual component separately. And those speakers can take your ears out. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, they're very bright, but they're super clean.
Musical. I mean, they're very
Yeah.
natural sounding, and like I say, talk about mid bass. I mean, these things are so snappy on the mid bass. I typically, whenever we're tuning vehicles with those, 300 watts RMS continuous all day, but I'll run them full range, 300 watts full range on those 12s or 11s and the 9s, and they absolutely spank.
Yeah, and those speakers, I think, had part of the reason why the law got called on us.
I'm sure it was. They're designed to project, and they really do. And I think it's well over a mile across the lake.
And, you know, we were just like, they heard what, where?
Yeah, and this event, May 16th, is SQ at HQ. It's not an SPL event, but
No.
we are going to set some times aside so the judges know at this time the guys are going to be able to turn their systems up. So if you're hoping to come hear some loud stuff, there's going to be some loud stuff. We got a couple other surprises we can't give away. Some other very special, unique vehicles that are supposed to be here, along with the vehicle you're seeing the build pictures of. Yeah. But it's really going to be a neat event. I hope you guys can make it. Come see the facility because you know the name, you know the people, but until you see the facility and what we're really about, I mean, that really seals it. I mean, it really is a family business. I mean, you spend more time with people at work around here than sometimes you do your own family, unless you work with your family like you do.
Yeah.
So then,
and one of the things that we want to encourage people to do is come on out. If you were at SQ at HQ last year, come on out this year and tell us if you heard that truck. Tell us if you can hear a difference. Because that's, we are around it so much, it's hard for us to gauge, but we'd love to hear what other people say. So
I think someone just posted the scheduling blocks were great at the show last year.
Yes.
So, that was Scott. He was asking what kind of truck it is. And, Kyle's thing, you're going to be here again. We'd like to see all you guys. And I can't even read that. The Ram Sona says, I hope to see in person someday. Beautiful build. Well, we're going to see some more of it, so let's keep going with this so we can see all the parts. So got your co-pilot up here. You got to have a co-pilot.
This is the co-pilot. His name is...
Got to hear the story on this. I still haven't heard the story on this.
His name is Lucius Mumford. And
where did that come from?
LM.
Okay, there you are. All right.
And so a lot of the Japanese vehicles and the culture, they believe in pandas.
Oh, yeah.
So what better way to have a panda with a light and loud T-shirt on, just hanging out his arm out the window and just relaxing.
Just chilling.
Yeah,
just
that's what it's all
back
about.
And chilling. So here we have the original box and obviously the start of something else.
Yeah. So that was the original side panels, the side boxes, and this is when we were actually test fitting the enclosure that we built to add or to extend the additional 4 ST9s. Now, the question that most people ask us is that, why is it angled? When you and I sat down in the early stages, one of your things was you have this thing about 360 sound. And this was in a way to sort of get that mid-range to wrap around
wider
the vehicle.
dispersion.
Yeah. So regardless,
So we can annoy everybody in the neighborhood.
not just some, but
yeah, not just some
everybody.
people on the other side of the lake, but everybody.
Yeah. So this was us test fitting the new brackets. We had custom brackets made because these enclosures are heavy.
Oh, I know.
And so we had some brackets made, and it's holding up to this day.
And
This
voila.
This is the final product. So I can tell you those dollies that are under those cabinets are crying.
They're straining.
Yeah, they're crying. But one of the things and here's the reason why we like to come out to Kicker HQ. Roger Demery looked at that picture and he says, get some grills on those, remember?
Yeah.
And I had you were driving to work that morning. I says, hey, go down and grab an ST9 and grab one of the Solo X8 grills and tell me if it fits. And you called me back and he said, well, it kind of, sort of. I'm like, kind of, sort of. So then I said, okay, so we ordered 32 of the grills and we custom fit them to protect those speakers.
That extra mile.
Yeah.
I love it. All right.
Okay.
That steering wheel cover. I love it.
So that's actually the basket of a Kicker sub. And what we did is we wired the push speaker terminals as the horn buttons. So when you hold the steering wheel, you can squeeze the speaker terminals on the back.
That's great.
And, the horn works.
It's all those subtle things. I'm going to have to remember to find that when you bring the vehicle back in May. Now we're going to move on to the additional 8-inch.
Yes. So the top box on this picture was the sealed enclosure, and the bottom one was the ported. Now, we wanted the sealed enclosure to hit at 65 hertz, right?
Yep.
And above. And then you wanted the ported one to be a little bit higher, so we ported that to 75. So on this truck, there's an overlap of all the sub-frequencies.
And if you guys wonder the reason we tuned it so high, these were for mid-bass. They weren't sub-bass.
So we were
meant
using
to complement the
right. We were using the Solo X8s for mid-bass and not sub-bass because we really don't need any more sub-bass on this truck.
It's pretty impressive. Come on, Labs.
Okay.
Painting the ports.
Painting the ports.
Attention to detail.
This was when we mounted the sub enclosures on the side. The ported one, we had to do the enclosure first and then put the subs in because we had bolts that were going through the chassis.
Yeah, to hold that thing in place.
And then the back ones we were able to mount directly.
That's a lot of weight.
Yeah. That is the enclosure that you wanted. You had to have that enclosure. And I'm like, why does he give me something simple to do?
Well, we did a truck with a buddy of ours, Rick Semeny. He had called the duck truck. It was a Raptor that we ended up putting an L712 underneath the truck. And it loaded to the ground incredible. I mean, it sounded great. And the funny thing is, Rick, if you're watching, sorry for telling everybody, but Rick flipped that truck in the desert. And he's got a video of the truck sitting almost on its roof. And we had a roof rack with all the cans on it with all the marine speakers, but the thing's on its roof, and that L712 is just pounding away. But it sounded so good with it loading down to the ground.
We can honestly say these subs take a beating. We don't necessarily try to beat on them, but when we dial them in, and your advice on that was pretty good because that enclosure sits 3.5 inches from whatever surface the vehicle is parked on. And that sub resonates throughout our garage. I mean, it moves stuff off the shelf. Just that sub alone.
Yeah,
we have some trophies up on the walls. I had the TV. We have a flat screen over one of the boxes. It started unbolting the flat screen from the bracket.
See, that's great.
So
I love that kind of stuff. All right. Ernie, just going to pop back over to the laptop, and there's the back of the truck with the enclosure.
So custom rear skirt with the Kicker logo cut out of it. And there you can see the sub mounted under the let's say it's mounted between the chassis under the bed of the truck. And that's the kind of clearance we have.
And there's
the
great shot from the bottom.
From the bottom.
It butted right up to that differential.
Oh, yeah.
And this is another little detail that you added to this that I just thought was really cool. And I absolutely love these ST2504s. Unfortunately, we no longer have them. We love them, and the people that got it, but they just were not a big seller, but they were fantastic little speakers. But they had one flaw, and that was mounting.
Correct.
In a lot of applications. Not all of them. They were designed to mount on a pillar, but you obviously didn't want to drill holes in the dash on this.
Well, the problem was with this. The dash, you couldn't drill the dash because it was not a flat dash. It's contoured. And you couldn't drill the A-pillar because there's metal right behind that panel. Because in Japan, they use every ounce of metal to do everything.
Yep.
And we said, well, I like the staging up. I like the ability to turn and pivot. So we 3D printed, or we designed that in 3D, and we printed those pods that basically give you a way to mount and actually secure those speakers to.
It's kind of like if you guys are old hot rodders, lowering your trucks, like the lowering blocks.
Yes.
Yep, on the rear end of your S10. But great idea. I mean, what a cool way to do that. And of course, you got to monitor all your amplifiers. How many Warhorse amplifiers are in this truck?
So we now have 12.
12 Warhorse. So how's it break down?
So we have. How do we do? Yeah. So we have 9. For bass.
So 9 3600s.
1 complete 3600 for tweeters.
Wow.
And then we have the four channel running the cans and just the cans up top. And then we have another 3600 that's running the ST9s.
Yep, that's awesome. That is a whole lot of power in anybody's booking. There's another shot of the back of it. You get a better view with all the tweeters mounted on top. And this really is a portable concert.
Yes.
I mean, it is so cool. And like I say, I can't stress enough if you guys can come see this. And this is my favorite picture of this, where you really get an idea of how cool this little truck is. And it's basically wallpapered with Kicker gear.
Yes, basically. I don't think there's any more room for us to add anything else.
Don't.
Let me don't say that.
Don't challenge us.
I forgot who I'm sitting next to. So
I'm already looking and gotten some ideas. But yeah, what a neat little truck. So please, guys, come up May 16th. Come up to SQ at HQ and come check this little truck out. And there's nothing like it anywhere. It's really neat.
And one of the big things for us, one of the big selling factors on why we decided to do this, Kicker is a leader in car audio. You hear other companies saying, we do this, we do that. Kicker is the leader in car audio. I said it. All right, that's my opinion. We wanted to make sure that they're going to be the first to have the only Kicker JDM Stuntwall vehicle in the world.
Yeah, there's probably not very many other people even thinking about it, let alone doing it. And to the level that you did it, the thing is just absolutely expertly crafted. I mean, it really is a work of art.
And just one more thing, that show for the East Coast guys, that truck is going to be at the Charlotte Motor Speedway.
Let them know when and where it's going to be.
The Charlotte Auto Fair. It's going to be front and center. It's going to have its cameo. We'll have Nemesis there. We'll have the Kicker tent. Charlotte Motor Speedway, April 9th through the 11th. We'll have our products on sale. We'll have some information about Kicker products. We'll try to point you guys in the direction as to where you can buy Kicker products if you have questions. We've been dealing with this company for years, and we are happy to be partnered up with you guys for this reason.
Well, we welcome it, and like I say, it's really neat to work for a company that you get to do stuff like this. I mean, there's so many people out there, and we've said it many times, that that they don't enjoy going to work. They dread going to work. They hate it, and all they can do is think about is leaving. It's like, this is what we do. This is all we do.
The age-old adage, if you love what you do,
you never
work a day in your life. And thank God we are at that point now. We have fun doing this stuff.
Yep. I know. I think Ernie used to do concrete or roofing. What was it?
Yeah, all that.
all of that.
wow.
Yeah, see, Ernie's had real jobs before, so yeah, I've been fortunate enough that I started doing retail electronics when I was 16 and just kind of stayed with it. It was fun. I always thought I was going to be a dentist growing up, and I don't know why I wanted to be a dentist. But that's just, what do you want to be? I want to be a dentist. And I got into electronics and audio, and it's like, just never looked back, and tried to get out once, and I'm still here. So.
That's a shift in career.
Yeah. Well, it still has to do with teeth, either rattling your teeth out or fixing them. So one way or another, you can get a link there somehow. Yeah. But you were telling me earlier, growing up, basically what got you into this environment. Okay. And I know, we call it a stunt wall, and, how your experience and how did you get familiarized with all that?
So for most people that were born in the Caribbean, you have Carnival. Carnival is basically it starts Monday and Tuesday. It ends on Tuesday, just the day before Ash Wednesday. But most of the bands will still play music from Saturday through Tuesday. I'm guilty myself of leaving the house on Friday night and stumbling into the house on Wednesday morning. I'm not going to tell you why, but that's it. Revelers back in the 70s, they used to use steel pans, and they had these steel pan guys playing music in the streets to provide music for the revelers. Late 70s, early 80s, and then on, they started using the tractor-trailer flatbeds, and we would put our DJ equipment on them, just build out 3 sides of the flatbed. You'd have a generator, and we would build these rigs out to play music nonstop from 6 in the morning to 10 at night, from Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday.
That's an accomplishment to do that.
So we did that. And that whole theme, that open ear music, actually gave way to the stunt wall, that whole nature now. Most of the Caribbean islands have some version of it. Trinidad takes it to the extreme. So Taiwan and England too. So.
Ernie, go ahead and pull up the pictures again. Tell us what we're looking at here.
So those were some Martin Audio mid-bass drivers on the back. Altec Lansing and JBL horn-loaded tweeters up front. And you see, we always goofed off. We were sitting on the back of the flatbed, right? They would drop there's no tractor connected yet. We were just sitting, and we were building this to hold all of this equipment.
That's a lot of drivers.
Yes.
What year do you think this was?
That was taken, I can tell you exactly when it was. That was taken in 1986.
Nice.
I can tell because my Ford Cortina is in the lower left.
I haven't heard Cortina for a long time. Too cool. And then obviously
and that's shot. The side profile. And those were the replica, I'm not going to call them fake, but those were the replica JBL horns. The smaller ones were 15s and the bigger ones were 18s.
Yeah, the smaller ones were 15s.
Yeah, the smaller ones.
Like the scooped horns. And,
you
got to have all
that.
So
the vehicle, it's designed to have, again, 360 music.
Yeah.
And the one thing about that is they pay special attention to the clarity. So for me, I grew up always having that, hey, it can be loud, but it's got to be clear.
Yeah, like I always said, it doesn't matter how loud it is. If it doesn't sound good, who wants to listen to it?
And this picture shows a typical example. You can see the truck in the back, and this is the amount of revelers right next to the truck without hearing protection, just having a good time and, dancing in the streets. And they basically do that for 4 days.
That sounds like fun. That sounds like a great outdoor
We've got
party.
to get you down there.
That would be neat. I would really enjoy it.
Probably not want to come back.
Well, I'm fortunate that I do get to see a lot of different places, and it's neat to go see different cultures and how different areas and it's interesting. You talk about different cultures, the way they listen to stuff and how and what they like. I mean, I remember in the 80s, dealing with no offense, just the Japanese speaker companies, the 6x9s, like the Pioneers, the Kenwoods, the Sonys, they had a 6 dB spike at about 1K, and that's the sound they like. And hey, it's not a problem. And in fact, we've run into that with some of our other reps around the world that hey, we want speakers that sound like this, and we have done that. We've actually designed speakers for specific, areas of the country. In fact, we continue to do so. We've got new things in the works all the time. Let's leave it at that. So it should be a lot of fun. So anybody got any questions for Peter? Anybody else? Or me, or Ernie, or Colin, or... So, all right. So that big subwoofer box doesn't fire into the cabin. Are there any subs? Tell them what the system is in the cabin.
Oh, so in the cabin...
Thank you for asking, because we completely left that out.
That's a very good
Jason.
question. So in the cabin, we have a custom center console built with the L7Ts, two 8-inch L7Ts, basically firing at your thighs. There's the KS separates in the doors, custom pods. We have the snowman on the dash, and it's all being powered by the LC, the new LC amp with the DSP built in. And it's not designed to be a full SQ sound, but it's nice if you're in a staging lane and you just want to lose your mind for a bit. We wanted to do that so that we can demonstrate what each amplifier did, the purpose for each amplifier, and how it sounds in different environments. So the nice thing about this truck is we can isolate drivers. We can say, John, sit in there and just put on the subs in the cabin. And we can isolate every portion of the vehicle because, again, it was built for demo purposes.
Yeah, and expertly built at that. So, too cool. What else we got out there? Colin, anybody else got anything cool? Jason also asked, I hear it's hard to get the car equipment in Trinidad.
Quite the opposite.
Oh.
They have a lot of equipment in Trinidad. As a matter of fact, there is a KICKER dealer in Trinidad. And
I think we deal with 63 countries around the world.
So you tend to see more of other products because KICKER is a protected line. But I personally know the KICKER dealer in Trinidad, and we were talking about this today at SEMA last year I should say. There was another guy with a Stuntwall vehicle from Trinidad. He was around the back from the KICKER, and he actually approached me because in all of our vehicles we fly the Trinidad flag. It's just something to be prideful about.
Respect.
And he came up to me and says, hey, you are the guys that built that KICKER truck. I'm like, yes, we are. He's like, how about you guys want to do a little sound off? I says, you name the place and you name the time. We'll take it on. And at that show, unfortunately, they were showing off a little bit too much and end up destroying two of their sub-drivers at the show.
Which shouldn't happen.
It shouldn't.
SEMA's not the show for that.
It's not the place for that inside. If we tried to do something like that, we would get yelled at or we would get shut down.
Well, we've gotten noise violation tickets before the show has started with our little desktop iPod docking stations.
Right.
We did. Ernie, do you remember, did we do 24 or 48 of those at one point, like a whole wall of them? It sounded good, but it's just these little docking stations. And we got a noise violation ticket the day before the show opened. And we actually framed it and put it in the booth. This was a trophy. And Kevin Campbell, it's so funny. He tried to do it. He's like, we're going to get a ticket. We're going to go frame it. We're going to put it. And we did exactly that.
Yep.
If you're going to make a scene, be seen and be heard. Too cool.
But
awesome. All right. Any more questions? I think let's try one more if you got one, Colin. What is all that on the table? Well, let's just start. We've got an ST9 over here. I've got a Key 204. We got the PS3 speakers, which are Power Sports. We have a Solo X 8-inch. And just tell them what we got in front of you. Just run down real quick. I love it.
Real quick, we have ceramic shampoo.
Shampoo, I love
by
it. Not
Luxury
soap,
Motorsports.
it's shampoo.
Yeah, it's not soap, it's shampoo. And it's concentrated, so what's in this bottle will give you about 100 washes. We have ceramic tire dressing that's no sling. It's one of the only products on the market that you control the shine and it will not sling based on the shine.
You were telling us how that works. It's actually very interesting.
So basically what will happen is you spray it on. If you want a high gloss, do nothing. Just walk away and leave it. In 30 minutes, it's completely dry. It doesn't sling. If you're looking for more of a muted look, a satin finish, spray it on, wipe it off. 15 minutes, it's dry. Again, the ceramic infusion allows it to dry without slinging all over vehicles. We have a lot of black vehicles, and that's the one pet peeve that I've always had when we spray it. We use all of these stuff on all of our show vehicles, and it's still a great product. And the last one is the ceramic spray. So this is a wax spray that goes on either wet or dry. So if you wash your vehicle with the shampoo, once you rinse it, you can spray this on, smear it around with a rag, give it 5 minutes, and then take it back off. And all of these products are designed for what I like to call the lazy man mentality. I'm trying to not spend 2 hours detailing my car, but I want the same effect of it. And over time, the ceramic builds, so you get complete protection in the rain. And this product is good for everything: glass, window trim, everything. It works great.
You know, I missed an incredible opportunity today for you to go ahead and show me how that works on the Mustang. That thing is so dusty, it hasn't been out of the garage in, I think, 2 months. But anyway, yeah, so that's what we got on the table in front of us. We try to mix it up a little bit, put out some cool stuff from time to time. But let's jump right in. We're getting a little short on time. We don't want to drag this out too far because I think we're going to catch an adult beverage after this. Just so the wife knows, in case she's still watching.
Yes.
She does try to watch, but sometimes she gets so confused she doesn't understand it. But that's okay. That's what she has me for, to confuse her even more. So Q&A, got 3 good questions here. The first one was, I was wondering if you have to use both power connections on a Warhorse 3600. And there's actually 2 reasons why the answer is yes. Obviously, it needs a lot of current. I mean, you're looking at about 450 amps of current draw. So you cannot run that much power through a single 1-aught. In fact, you really need a lot of power wire. So that's the main thing. But believe it or not, they've got that amplifier so well balanced. The way it works is, you know, the power runs, you've got, you know, output devices on each side of the amplifier. Well, there literally is one set of feeds for one side of the amp, one for the other, to keep the lengths the same. So you don't accidentally damage the amplifier by working one side harder. So it is actually really interesting, because I was asking the engineers that, and they're like, oh, absolutely, you have to use both of them. And it's like, I didn't realize that they'd gone to that much detail when they designed that amplifier to make sure everything was perfectly balanced. You know, that just...
And those amplifiers are literal war horses. I mean, they take, you know, we've put ours through some stress tests. And, you know, in the old days, you know, when we had the other brands, you couldn't put your hand on an amp that was driving a sub for 2 minutes.
Especially Class A, B,
exactly.
and,
these amps, I mean, they run, you know, we do demos 10, 15 minutes, and they're just as cool, and the voltage is still the same. We drop 0.1, 0.2.
In fact, there are 4 fans on those amplifiers, and the fans are not just on or off. They're actually computer controlled. I mean, depending on how much current and what the temperature, it's actually completely, it's a very independent circuit. It's actually pretty neat. But yeah, most of the time, you'll never even need those fans. But should you ever get, you know, if they're like in direct sunlight in Texas, you know, heat wave or, you know, slamology or something like that. So, but yeah, very well thought out, well laid out amplifiers. But yeah, make sure you always run proper power wire, proper lengths of the wire, proper grounding, you know, everything. I mean, your system's only as good as its weakest link, which is interesting, because the next question, I'll see if you want to answer this one or not. At what power level do I need to upgrade my alternator?
For me, my personal belief is, if you're running an aftermarket amp, anything above, you know, let's say 1,000 watts RMS, go ahead and upgrade your electrical. I would start with the big 3. Get that done first. And if you still see that your voltage is dropping, you know, down to 12 or something unsafe, spend the money, you know, buy once, cry once. That's what we think. Upgrade the alternator.
Heard that. I like that. I'm going to put that on a shirt.
But, you know, test it first. It doesn't make sense to spend money and buy an alternator if you don't need it right out the box. Upgrade your electrical. Make sure that your electrical can supply the power that your amp needs, and then go from there.
Well, just remember, when automotive designers design cars and electrical systems, they design it for what's already in the car, not what you're going to add later. So chances are, you know, 1,000 watts is great. 1,000 watts, 1,500 watts, that's when you need to start seriously thinking about giving it some extra power. And obviously, if your lights are dimming, you're right out of the box. I mean, got to have a good battery. I mean, you can't substitute a good battery, but you got to charge it. The alternator really is the most important part of any car audio system, because that's where all the power starts. So, yeah, you know, MacMan, we work with them quite a bit. They make, I think, 430 amp alternators. So it's pretty crazy. So yes, probably, you know, 1,000 watts and up, you know, to do it right, probably would not hurt. But the big three upgrade, like I say, upgrade your charging wire from the alternator to the battery or the distribution block if it's, you know, comes in first. You want to upgrade the ground wire from the battery to the chassis, and the ground wire from the chassis to the engine. Correct. Because that is all the pass for ground. So great question. All right. Next thing we got going on here is like, when adding additional batteries, do I need to run power and ground up to the existing battery, and do I need an isolator and or fuses? I'm sure you can answer this one, Peter.
Yeah. So we will always run dual 0-aught directly to the front. But with that being said, we also ground each one. Depending on the case, we may use an isolator or not. But we put fuses on both sides because it prevents, you know, catastrophic failure.
Yeah, which Ernie found out.
Well, at some point.
That was another story that we'll not get into later, but yes.
You know, if you ground either one of those cables, you want that protection. And let's be honest, guys, a fuse is a couple bucks. You don't want to lose your entire investment for a couple
car,
bucks,
your audio system, maybe a family member or two.
Exactly. And in case you haven't experienced it, electrical fires happen like that.
Yeah, and you don't really want to put them out with water either.
Exactly.
So yeah, definitely isolators, fusing, and you know, it's always best. You know, they say you can ground things to the battery, but to do it right, or ground things to the frame. To do it right, I mean, you really want to, and you need the same gauge. Well, I remember another odd story. I always remember stories when we're doing this. Guy sent in his SS 500 amplifier, which was one of the gray amplifiers, the first series that we offered, and he sent it in, and it was the third time he sent the amplifier in, and the ground wire was still attached to it. And it was a 10-gauge ground wire, and it was melted to the terminal block. Yeah. And I called him. I said, "What's going on?" I said, "You're only running 10-gauge wire to this amplifier." He said, "Oh, no. I'm running 4-gauge power wire, but you know the ground wire, it's only running 8 inches, so I figured I could." No, you need to run the same gauge wire. In fact, most people don't realize that electron flow is from negative to positive. So the power technically comes in the negative side, but it's got to go back out. It's got to make a continuous loop. So always make sure it's well balanced no matter what you do. To the amplifier and to the vehicle, so both. So great questions. Appreciate it, guys. And if you guys do have questions, just remember support@kicker.com. That's where we get these questions. So if there's, you know, got questions about audio, questions about kicker gear, or, you know, cool things or events, like I said, we got 4 guys. That's all they do is answer emails and tech questions, and really good guys. And like I always say, if they don't know the answer, the engineers are right back here behind the guys in the booth. They can go talk to the actual engineers that design the gear, so you will get the correct answers. So cool. I think it's time for some fun pictures, don't you, Peter?
I think so.
All right, we already saw all your fun pictures. Let's go ahead and let's start with installs today, and then we'll go to the fails. Okay. This is just some random pictures I pulled up. This was kind of neat. I'm not even sure where this picture is from, but you know, you don't have to spend a lot of gear to have a really cool install. You know, the Comp S drivers, that's that single voice coil Comp driver. It's a great looking driver, and the yellow scheme, and you know, it looks
very clean.
I'm still not sure what that is on that amplifier, but you know, hey, you know, he's customized it. It looks great. Did a decent job with the wiring, but you know, just kind of a cool install. It's different, you know, and that's, you know me, I always like different. Why that just shrunk again? I'm going to probably start cussing up my mouse again like I usually do. Old school.
Oh, yeah.
This is really cool because I always kind of like the original L7s with those cast aluminum grills. And, of course, you got this. It's either an XS100 or a ZR1000. That was a beast, but just a real clean install. And that, you know, that silver and red Solobaric logo stands out really nicely in that dark trunk. This is a... I don't even know where this picture was taken. This is a beast. I'd really like to see this vehicle. And if you notice the L7s on the back of the truck, that actually slides in and out. And that is a very unique mounting of our wake tower can speakers.
Yeah.
Those were the ST60s, if I remember right. Or SS60, I can't even remember.
SS60s, I believe.
Yeah, but 2 6-inch drivers and a horn in the center. But that was a lot of work to flush those in. We always call those the Stewie head.
Yeah.
If you guys watch South Park, they really were kind of football shaped. Pretty cool install, and obviously that is a over-the-top vehicle. And I love these installs. The octagons.
The octagons.
Just stuff as many subs in there, magnet to magnet. There was a guy that I saw this van years ago, and I think it was in Indianapolis, but he had a setup very similar to this, but it was 4 deep. Wow. That was a lot of subwoofers, and of course they were all L7s too, but what a neat look. It looked like one of those infinity mirrors when you look at it.
Keeps going.
It just kept going and going, but how cool is that? So let's go to some fail pictures. What do you think, Peter? Shall we talk about some fails?
Oh, yeah.
And I always tell you guys, if any of these are your pictures, your installs, we're just having fun. Hopefully you've learned a little bit since then, but if you haven't, we're going to rib you. We're going to have some fun with it. And Ernie sent me this one earlier today. And Ernie, what in the world is all over this? I mean, I'm not even sure what I'm looking at, but if that's a silicone seal job, someone needs to step away from the caulk gun.
Yeah, it looks like DAP caulk all over.
Yeah, it might be, I don't know, but if you're going to do something to it, at least use black silicone so it doesn't stand out quite as much. But I'm not sure what that box is. It's some kind of computer processor or controller. So that actually looks like a GPS connection.
Yeah, it looks like a factory head unit.
Yeah, very possibly. So maybe the screen was popping off his head and he decided to glue it in place.
Glue it in place.
Know. But anyway, this is kind of a fail, but maybe not so much of a fail. It's kind of interesting. If you notice, that camera is actually facing backwards with the hatch open.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's so he can watch the faces on people as he cranks up his system as they look in. When I first started doing retail in 1984 in downtown Lincoln, we had a camera set up in the showroom window, in the front window, but we had the bars, because it was downtown. You don't want people breaking into electronics stores. So we had bars set back about 8 inches from the glass. But we had this camera face, and we had a TV inside that was showing a live view, and it was so funny because people wouldn't realize the bars were that far, so they'd go to look in and they'd hit their heads. Sometimes people do it 2 and 3 times before they realize
it registered.
We'd sit there, people come in at lunch, sit there eating their French fries, just watching people smack their head on the window. So that may be what they're doing there. So this may or may not be a fail, but hey, it's kind of unique. This next picture, pretty much a fail.
Yeah.
I mean, why bundle up the power wire? I mean, yes, you want to have your fuse within 18 inches, but you still don't want 38 inches
of power wire just hanging around. Yeah.
And notice how it's wire tied to the negative terminal of the battery.
Yeah.
And notice also how that end cap is coming off that fuse holder. That type of fuse holder is inherently bad, especially under the hood and engine base. That plastic from being warm gets brittle. And if you look at that right there, that is going to be a dead short directly from the negative terminal through the wire to the positive terminal.
Side. Yep.
So there's a fire waiting to happen. So if this is your vehicle, just let us know everybody got out safely, because I'm sure it probably caught on fire at some point after this picture was taken. Now, I'm all about sound quality, all about a good front stage, and there comes a point when safety has got to have some weight in your install. You talk about blind spots.
Yeah.
I bet this thing, depending what drivers and how it's done, of course, they better be sealed back mids, because that's one continuous. Yeah, I don't even know. And
where's the rear view mirror?
It's up here still. But
on the side
view mirrors, you can't see out of that driver's side mirror. You want good sound, but you sure want to be safe in a vehicle. You
don't want to sacrifice your safety for sound.
Now, I imagine, DOT or local law enforcement might have something. They used to give you tickets for those Garfields just stick on the windows.
Or if you had the air fresheners hanging from your mirrors.
Yeah, that was another thing. You can't have anything hanging. And the wife always reminds me of that. But it's like, you got to take that off the mirrors. So, that's, it may sound great, but it's just not safe. Here again, this may be a partial fail, because if you think with that door shut where that tweeter is firing.
Yep.
right into your side. But if you're designing this system to play with the doors open, it's probably going to work just fine. So that's kind of a fail, but not really, depending on the application. It's an application-biased fail. How's that sound? All right, and this one is definitely a fail. Yeah, and it's not even a clear picture, but you don't need a clear picture to.
Wow. Yeah, it's a rat's nest.
Yeah, and it's got like a shelving unit there with every. I mean, I think I see CBs and if you have the battery on the floor up front.
Yep.
And you can't even tell if there's any fusing there. But if you're going to do something, take the time to at least. Well, here's the big thing. Yeah, this may all work perfectly the first time, but if you ever have to troubleshoot something,
you're done for.
It's going to be a nightmare. Yeah. So, all right, that's going to conclude the fails, the installs, the questions, the interview with Peter. Like I say, we're not doing too bad on time. We've had a fun night, and I think it's time to give away some stuff.
Yeah, people want stuff.
Yep, they always want stuff to be given away. So if you guys have registered at kicker.com/umweekly, we always give away every time we do a show, which is almost every other Tuesday. Occasionally things happen.
Did they figure out what's different in the studio?
Oh, that's right. I forgot about this. Colin,
we're not referring to
back
me.
there
Okay, we're not referring to me.
For the extra set of earbuds. Did anyone figure out what's different in the studio?
Thumper.
Pardon?
Yes. Yes. Thumper.
So Thumper that's the winner?
Yep.
So Thumper, if you're watching, you got it correctly, and the correct answer is the Unmasked logo in the back of the studio. It's no longer a decal on the wall. That is a fully illuminated acrylic sign. Ernie was having fun playing with all the different colors. It's actually operated by one of our MSLC, one of our new Marine LED controllers. This is a 300-watt LED controller. Wow. And the cool thing about it is it's RGBW and it switches ultrasonically, so there is no noise injected. But yep, that is the change in the studio is the new Unmasked sign. So a great catch on that, Thumper. Appreciate it. Colin's going to send you some earbuds. But moving right along to our third place winner, which is going to win another set of TW1s, the Kicker Koozie and the Kicker Unmasked t-shirt. Who's the winner there, Peter?
Let's see. Rudyard H. from Shreveport, Louisiana.
So, Rudyard H. from Shreveport, you are the third place winner with the TW1s, the koozie, and the t-shirt. So, congratulations on that. The second place winner, which is get the TW2s, the 2 for second, but a little bit step up. These have got the soft silicone earbuds. That's going to be
Bryce L.
Bryce L. from Allen Park, Michigan. I've been there. Actually, we got one of our old trainers is actually living up in Detroit, Michigan, and we go through that area. So, Ken, if you're watching, I hope you're doing well. Hope you're keeping warm up there in good old Detroit, and watch out for those potholes. But congratulations, Bryce. You're going to get the TW2s, the T-shirt, and the koozie. And the grand prize winner is, Peter, who's it going to be?
Dun, 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 me.
Yeah, well, you're here. You already won.
So it's JJB from Kansas City, Missouri.
Congratulations. You get the TW3s. Those are the really nice
ones.
Yeah, I absolutely love those. And once again, congratulations to everyone. And I was just in Kansas City last weekend. Yeah. In fact, we're talking about travel. You guys hear about all the travel stuff, and that's when they pushed everybody out onto the tarmac at the Kansas City airport. But enough about that. Guys, thanks for tuning in. I know we're getting ready for some great weather here. It was 21 degrees yesterday morning here in Stillwater. It will be 96 on Saturday. Wow. So if you don't like the weather, stick around. It'll change. But hope you guys have a great 2 weeks. Come back and join us again next Tuesday night at 7:30 Central Time right here on the Kicker Unmasked live show on YouTube and on Facebook Live. So, and don't forget, Andy's going to be live tonight. And then also, Andy will be back on April 14th with his after show. And then he'll be back again on the 21st with another Living Loud with Andy. Pardon me, Ernie? Yep, Andy's taking time off, so he'll be on tonight and he'll be back on the 21st. So, Andy, enjoy a break. Thank you for all your support, buddy. You do a great job, and always appreciate seeing your posts and all the help you give everybody. And thanks, guys. Thanks for living loud, and come back and see us again. And definitely come May 16th for SQ at HQ. Come meet Peter and come experience his awesome machine. Good night, guys. Thanks.
Wires twist like veins of steel, born to crush, born to feel. runs through every chord. Power surge, the final word.